Alright guys, I got a little bit of a new setup in here. I installed some new LED lights around the room to give it a new fresh feel. I can change it to many different colors, but we're going to keep it red for now. This video is about a potential movie, or at least an idea that we could get, I don't know, maybe in the next 2 to 3 years. Maybe something that will be officially announced by Warner Brothers very soon. Now, there is a tweet that I posted on my community post the other day from a Twitter user named Casey Walsh. And this guy has a lot of inside information. I would say 80 to 90% of the time, his information tends to be right, and he's pretty accurate on the news he breaks. Before I read this tweet for you, if you haven't seen this particular tweet from my community post or anywhere else, I know that over the past 2 to 3 years, the rumor wheel of Henry Cavill coming back as Superman has been torturous. One day he's coming back, one day he's not. When I read you this tweet, I do not blame you if you feel, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. Although I will say more recently, I have been seeing a lot of reports saying this exact thing, that Henry Cavill is indeed 100% coming back in the role of Superman. I've been seeing this a lot more than I have in the past. In the past, you'd see maybe a source here and there claiming it, but this seems much more than it has been before. So the tweet says they are gonna bring Cavill and Affleck back full time and then have the Flash make it so none of them ever met, and Batfleck has to assemble the Justice League again, but this time has more options. Now that's very interesting, and there's a lot of things that means. First of all, the Flash movie was meant to retcon Zack Snyder's world, and they were going to move forward with the Hamadaverse, which thank God that's not happening. And essentially anyone or everything we saw from the Zack Snyderverse was going to be obsolete, and it just didn't happen anymore. Well, I think there's a big reason why this Flash movie continues to get delayed. If this was up to the previous management of Warner Brothers before Discovery, this Flash film probably would have already been released, and they would have been already on their way to destroying the DC universe. Now with Zaslav making these massive changes, these cancellations, these delays, this movie was supposed to come out, July 23rd of next year? Now all of a sudden it's undated. They don't know when this movie's coming out. It has also been reported over the past couple of weeks that Ben Affleck is coming back to that film to film even more scenes for that movie, even more so than he was before, because we all knew that his Batman was getting erased and he wasn't going to be in that movie for much anyways. So now I'm trying to wonder how this Flash film is going to fit inside of this David Zaslav 10-year plan, because as time goes on, I am thinking the Flash movie is going to be released in theaters. I don't think they're going to can this movie, even though I'd like to see them can it. I don't really care about this film, and maybe they could find another way to kickstart this 10-year universe, but clearly David Zaslav wants to use it to start a new 10-year DC plan. So when I see a tweet like that from Casey Walsh saying Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck are coming back, I'm more so inclined to believe that. The interesting thing about this is with Superman, you have one option and one option only, but with Batman, you have two options. With Superman, your only option is to keep Henry Cavill. If you go out and recast someone as that character right now, while Henry Cavill is in his prime, 39-year-old Henry Cavill, by the way, I know some weird people out here want to make this weird excuse that he's getting too old, he doesn't look a day over 30, he's fine in the role. Some people out there would be okay with them recasting Superman, but I can tell you right now, 90% of us wouldn't be, if not more. Your only option is to keep him in the role. On the Batman side of things, you've got Ben Affleck and you have Robert Pattinson. Everybody loves Ben Affleck, and everybody loves what was done with this new Batman movie. Now, the biggest question about that is, does does the Pattinson Batman fit the overall DC connected universe? Could he find a way to replace Ben Affleck in that Snyder world? Is there a way they could mend the Batmans and Robert Pattinson is the new one? I'm sure there is a way. I'm not necessarily saying I would be against it, but I will say keep the Batman separated and then have Ben Affleck maintain his role as Batman for this connected universe, which it seems like they're going to be doing that. No one had any problem with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill being our world's finest, so why change it? Now, there's another tweet I came across the other day from a guy named Edwin SRP. Never really heard of him, looked into him a little bit, and I saw a lot of people talking about this particular tweet he posted. A lot of people were wondering what it could potentially be regarding. So I read what people said about his credibility, and apparently this guy got pretty much 100% things right when it came to No Way Home leaks and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So now you're probably wondering, what tweet did this guy put up? And he just put a simple GIF of the Batman and Superman logo from Batman vs. Superman. Immediately, people were commenting and asking, oh my god, a world's finest movie, is this happening? What is going on? Holy crap, so excited, blah, blah, blah. Tons of emotions coming into play. Then I connect something like that over to what Casey Walsh has said about Batman and Superman and Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. I think there's truth to what Casey is saying here. I think what they're going to do is they're going to keep aspects of Snyder's world intact, but they are also going to change a lot of what has happened. Most importantly, when it comes to Snyder's films, I think things that will stay the same and what will change is Man of Steel, that will stay the same. Batman vs. Superman, that will change and probably more likely will have never happened. And Zack Snyder's Justice League will have never happened either. I could see elements of Batman vs. Superman sticking around, but overall, that entire runtime of a film, I don't think will belong anymore. Hear me out here. As much as I love these films, I'm a huge defender of Batman vs. Superman. As much as I'd love to see these movies canon, if you are not going to restore the Snyderverse, if you're not going to bring back Zack Snyder's complete 100% vision, and you want to start a new DC 10-year plan, well, you gotta start it somewhere. And what would be the point in continuing Zack Snyder's vision if you're not going to get the man himself to do it? So you might as well take aspects of it and move forward. Speaking of aspects, I have also been hearing a lot of things that the original cast of the Justice League will be returning to play their roles as these characters. Ben Affleck is staying, Henry Cavill is staying, Gal Gadot is staying, Jason Momoa is definitely not going anywhere. The only two in question are Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher. I can only imagine those characters are going to get recasted. So unpacking this tweet a little bit, Ben Affleck's Batman has to reassemble the Justice League again. So it's clear that Zaslav wants to keep these actors back in these roles. He wants to use the character blueprints from Zack Snyder, but he wants to change the story blueprints. Changing the story is one thing, but recasting everybody is a completely different thing. At this point, I'll take what we can get. I'll take Ben Affleck back as Batman. I will certainly take Henry Cavill back as Superman, and so on. Ezra Miller, no, but you get my point. The possibilities that come from this reassembling the Justice League could be limitless. They could keep that same blueprint of Darkseid is coming. The mother boxes are hidden on Earth. The anti-life equation is buried deep within the Earth's core. They could still be building to that, although it's a matter of how they get there. If there's a good chance that most of Batman vs. Superman is getting retconned and Zack Snyder's Justice League will have never happened in this new universe, well, we are probably going to be getting a somewhat different origin story. And what a better way than to start with the world's finest. Recently, I've seen tons of comments on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube of people talking about how the blueprint of the DC universe should have just been the DC animated universe, and I think that's a fair point. I've actually made a video about that on my channel if anyone who hasn't seen it before wants to go check it out. I think that is a brilliant idea. I think the iterations of all those characters from the animated world are characters we all love. And when I talk animated world, I'm specifically talking the Bruce Timm and Paul Dini world. I'm not a huge fan of the New 52 storylines they were doing after 2011, 2012. I'm talking about the OGs. That would have been the perfect place to start. Objectively, I don't really know if we can argue with that idea. Yes, I love Batman vs. Superman. Yes, I love the idea of Batman and Superman fighting one another because of a misinformed cause. I love the idea of God versus man, dark versus light. I do. I really think it is a great idea for a specific story, although I could see how Batman Superman is conflicting for a lot of people because simply aren't Batman and Superman friends? And to start a universe off like that, even though I defend the film, I can once again understand if people aren't gonna like it being started that way. What a great opportunity to bring Ben Affleck back, bring Henry Cavill back, but it isn't them fighting each other, it's them meeting each other. It's them finding a way to unite with one another to come against one common threat. Batman vs. Superman had those elements. They had to come together. They had to put their differences aside. They had to fight Lex Luthor, which is exactly what I think a World's Finest movie would have to be. The difference is that with World's Finest, more than half the movie is not going to be Batman learning about Superman, finding ways to defeat him and nearly kill him. I think a fantastic opportunity of a World's Finest movie is to have Batman and Superman come together, the world's two greatest heroes ever created, to go up against their two greatest villains ever created, Lex Luthor and the Joker. You could literally rip it from the DC animated crossover movie with Batman and Superman. Now the question is, who would they be played by? Would it be Jesse Eisenberg back as Lex Luthor? Would it be Jared Leto back as Joker? I do think there are certain castings that would simply just get changed. I don't mind Jesse Eisenberg's Lex. I don't think he's perfect. Would I want to see him come back? Sure. But if he got recasted, I wouldn't mind either. Jared Leto's Joker. There's no doubt he's awful in the Suicide Squad film. Then again, more than 3/4 of his scenes were cut. He was pretty good at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, but seeing a Joker like that for a 2-hour, 2.5-hour film, I don't know if we could do that. We could sit here and watch Heath Ledger's Joker for that long. Some people could sit here and watch Jack Nicholson's for that long. I couldn't, but some people could. Some people could do Cesar Romero's from the Adam West time. Everyone could do Mark Hamill's Joker from the animated cartoons. We would need to find somebody where we can have a Joker play a main role in a World's Finest movie where we would have no problem seeing him on screen 24/7. Something else I also wanted to mention too, I forgot to do it while making the video, but the options that is being stated for Ben Affleck's Batman when he recruits the Justice League, I think that's a call to the fact that now he'll have more options with different characters. Think about it. He now has Shazam. He now will potentially have Blue Beetle. Who knows what's going to happen with the Flash movie? There could be some resets where other characters are now in existence. There are so many possibilities now where the Justice League might not necessarily look much different, but the group as a whole, the fact that Batman has different people he can play around with in his formation of the Justice League, I think that's where the options are going to come into play. I think it would be a great way for Warner Brothers to tell the fan base, hey, we know how much you guys loved Affleck and Cavill as Batman and Superman. Even though maybe not everyone loved the Zack Snyder movies, we understand there are a lot of aspects from those films that you guys loved too. We are taking what you guys loved and giving you a brand new DC connected universe, kicking it off with World's Finest. I just watched Zack Snyder's Justice League the other day with my girl. She's never seen it before. We both loved it. It's a great film. I would love to see Zack Snyder's universe told. I do realize the chances of that happening are slim to none. I understand we all have this hope of restore the Snyderverse. I would like to see it happen. I just don't think it is going to happen. So we need to accept the next best thing, a new story with the same characters. It's the best we can do, it's the best we got, and it might end up being better, who knows? It's one thing to sit here and wonder if Warner Brothers and Zaslav was just going to scrap everything and restart from scratch. Even though none of this is 100% confirmed, I guess you could say, it does feel good. It feels good to see. It feels good to hear. And it feels like there is some truth to this stuff. And I think we need to keep an open mind. It could be a lot worse. They could be saying, F Henry Cavill, F Ben Affleck, screw everything. This is what you guys like. I don't care. They could be doing that, but it doesn't feel like they are doing that. And it feels like Zaslav is willing to give us very specific things that we do like and that we do want to see. Who knows? Maybe he'll even give us more than what we thought. Of course, there's a lot of moving pieces in Warner Brothers right now. There's no real way of knowing if they will, but we just gotta wait. But I just wanted to make this video, guys, because I think the idea of a World's Finest movie would be great. Personally, me, if I was in charge of a DC universe, that is one of the first films I would make myself, so then you could grow the rest of the DC universe, more importantly, the rest of the Justice League. If that is something that gets announced within the next couple of months, or maybe at the beginning of the year, next year, whatever it might be, I would be 100% interested in it. I really do hope that Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill are coming back full time. I think some people might be surprised with the Ben Affleck news, considering he is almost 50 years old. I think he's 49. And with this 10-year DC plan, that would take him to 59. But hey, if Ben Affleck is interested and he's willing to do it, let him do it. Let's go. But anyways, everyone, I have talked enough. Now it is your turn. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this situation, what you think of these rumors. Let me know how excited you would feel to have Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck come back as Batman and Superman. So that's all I got for you guys on this one. And just like usual, I will talk to you all very soon.